Greetings and welcome to Flavourful Eats. I am Hamsha Naidu. Joining me today are Mothers Out Front representatives, Judith and Karen. Welcome.
Thank you.
So thanks. Judith, as everybody calls Jude, has a master's in expressive psychotherapy. Expressive therapy is used creative activities to help people share and process feelings and memories that may be hard to put into words. In '95, she left her work with court-involved adolescents to raise her own 3 young children. Being at home, raising her children, she was able to incorporate fun parts of expressive life, cooking, playing, singing, dancing in the living room. Once the children were well into elementary school, she returned to work, part-time doing nature-based therapeutic work with Nature Connection in Concord. And of course, right now, you are interested into climate crisis and all of that, and then you helped start off Mothers Out Front.
Correct.
And you've Mothers Out Front in Acton, and you have learned so much about community organizing while still using your expressive arts, correct?
Exactly.
And today you're expressing yourself on how to use the induction stove making crepes.
Exactly, yep.
Okay, yeah. and well, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Yeah, we're
very
excited.
Interesting. And then we have Karen, who's a teacher.
Retired teacher.
Retired teacher, yes. And you taught at our local school here, the Montessori school, and enjoyed the teaching at Children's House.
Yes, yeah.
And in 2011, you retired.
Yes, yep.
And you're obviously very much in love with the Montessori system and everything, right? So and I can understand why now you're out with Mothers Out Front.
Well, you meet all these great kids who have this wonderful energy, looking toward the future, and then you want to try your best to create a positive and livable future for them. So talking about induction cooking and moving away from fossil fuels seems like a really important way to honor the children.
Yes, and all those hatching of those monarch butterflies alongside the wonders of geography, math, science, and reading, and then you dedicated yourself, since retiring, to the community. With one of them is Mothers Out Front. So before we get started, okay, you're going to be making a pear brown sauce.
Yeah, it's a brown sugar pear filling for something that Jude is making.
Okay, so while we get going, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about Mothers Out Front. So we'll get started. You want to show us the recipe first? Share the ingredients?
Sure. So this recipe starts with just melting a tablespoon of butter with a tablespoon of brown sugar, and you add in a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And then once it's all melted together, you put in 4 cups of chopped pears. And I discovered that it's good to chop them fairly finely. Thanks. And after they've cooked for about 10 minutes, then you put in a tablespoon of vanilla and, you put in a tablespoon of maple syrup. And so I have an induction cook plate at home, but it's a little different from this. So this is up at 9, which must be pretty warm, or is that cooler?
It's about the highest.
Oh, okay. So this is going to melt pretty quickly. I might just turn it down a little bit. So
I'm just helping it melt quicker.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Yes, it's to the T, right? If it's 5, it means it's medium.
Okay.
So now it's 6, it's just above medium.
Just above, okay, so we'll keep an eye on it.
Yes.
So induction is wonderful because it has all the advantages of natural gas.
Yes.
It's very responsive and, it's very sensitive, like you can adjust it, you can also let something stay at a constant temperature and it won't burn as easily. So anyhow, it's a great way to cook. But now I will put in some of the sugar. And this recipe is from a cookbook called Jane Brody's Good Food Gourmet. And what I love about her recipes is that they're not super high on sugar. Like if you go online and look for a sauteed pear filling recipe, they'll probably have like a 1/4 cup of sugar in it to start or more. And let's see,
And the good thing about this, I mean, the pears are already sweet.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you want even less sugar, you can.
Yeah.
Depending on the variety of the pear.
And you could even skip the sugar.
Yes.
And just,
Yes.
just put in the cinnamon. And you could skip the salt. I mean, this is a very small amount of salt, but people use salt differently. And
the salt brings out that sweetness of the stuff and more flavor, adds more flavor.
yeah, it definitely adds flavor, yeah.
So while that's melting, tell us a little bit about Out Front, Mother's Out Front.
So Mother's Out Front was started in Massachusetts in 2013, and by a mom who was just really concerned about the future. She was very aware of how our climate was changing and felt like, hey, who's the best person to speak for future generations? The moms.
Oh, absolutely.
And I didn't know about them until this climate strike in 2019, and they were very present there. And I was like, I have to find out about this organization. And then I got introduced to Jude and realized, wow, there's a group right here in Acton. And so, so we look a lot at like what kinds of energy do we use, and like here in Acton we use a lot of natural gas. And I love.
Do you want some help?
I just want to warm it up a little bit more.
Okay, so you want to melt the sugar, is that what it is?
Yeah, it seems like it's taking
I
a
can
little while.
smell it already though. It's very, very
I think
nice.
I might go ahead and put the pears in.
Because the pears will help melt the butter
Yeah,
sugar
the
anyway.
juice from them will
Yeah.
make it, yeah. And so then we just mix in the butter, sugar, cinnamon a little bit, and then we'll cook it for 10 minutes and just stir it occasionally.
Okay, and when do you add the maple syrup?
The maple syrup I'll add after 10 minutes.
Yes, okay.
And then it just cooks for another 2 minutes after that, and then you take it off the heat, and
And it's just ready, right?
they're almost ready. We'll put in some
Yeah.
vanilla and lemon juice.
Yes, vanilla and lemon juice is always added last, so it helps a little bit. Do you want to continue stirring?
Sure. But yeah, so Mother's Out Front really, like, we look at the issue of natural gas, and maybe Jude could talk about that a little bit while I do some stirring here.
Yeah. When I started in 2016 with Mothers Out Front, we looked at the gas leaks in Acton. And at the time, there were about 230 gas leaks. And that sounds like explosion problem. And it's really not. They fixed the explosive ones. But the real problem with gas leaks is that natural gas, as it escapes out of these leaks, is a very, very potent greenhouse gas, more so than carbon dioxide, which everyone worries about. So we knew that this was a problem that we really needed to address for not just the town, but for the world. This is a very big problem across the country and across the world, leaking methane gas. So we started working here, just having public forums and raising awareness about gas leaks. And then we had a gas leak installation, which was kind of an art project that showed the 200 plus gas leaks happening current in town. And we moved that into 3 different locations. It was these tall 20-foot bamboo poles and 10-foot and 3-foot. And they were each representing not only a gas leak, but a size of a leak, because the sum of the leaks are very large. And those really contribute a lot of greenhouse gas.
So do we cover this?
No.
So while this is cooking, we get through with the crepes and we can carry on with the conversation.
Excellent. So I'm making crepes. My daughter spent some time in Paris and learned to love French cooking, and so she makes them a lot. I have flour, sugar, cornstarch with a little bit of salt in it. We used oat milk, and then they said with seltzer it makes them a little lighter because there are no eggs, and then some oil. Pretty simple, quick to make, and you can make them gluten-free, which is what we do at home, and they taste delicious. So what we have is flour, sugar, cornstarch, tablespoon of each, and 2 cups of oat milk and
Club soda.
club soda. I won't be putting in full 2 cups. I think it's just a cup of each, and the club soda makes it a little lighter.
Aerates it.
Good. So I'm going to do the dry ingredients first, and I think I'm just going to measure them because I'm not 100% sure that I put in a cup and a half. I did. That's a cup and a half.
And you're using granulated sugar, correct?
Yes.
And are you using any type of leavening agent, like a baking powder or baking soda?
No
right?
leavening at all.
Okay.
You do a fair amount of whisking This is the cornstarch, which I think substitutes for the egg, maybe?
Sometimes they do. But it makes the flour lighter.
Yeah. So I'm going to mix that around just so that there's no lumps. Sometimes I love those old sifters, but I don't have one.
The studio has one.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that would have been fun. Okay. So then it calls for a cup of milk, and we're using oat milk. I've also used soy.
So Judith just aerated the flour with a whisk.
And then we have a cup of the seltzer.
I love that sound when you open up.
Just
Yes, right?
making sure that everything's mixed well. And actually there's oil as well. I should have loosened this top because it's a tablespoon of oil, I believe. Where is it?
Do you need a tablespoon?
I have it right here. It's actually 2.
I can smell the fruit.
Yes, you can smell it all. Really has good smell. And it's definitely cooking.
Yeah, yeah.
It's halfway done.
So this is mixed well. And I'm just going to make sure that's a little mixed. Oil in there. And then I'll mix them together.
It's a good emulsion happening right there.
You know the science. I do not. I'm a messy cook. I just throw it together. But
As long as you got the end product, right?
when I was thinking about what to make, the crepes really are perfect to use on induction because you really have to control the temperature a bit and have it even. And what I love about induction is that the pan itself stays evenly heated.
Yes.
It's not like the flame is in spots.
And of course, the pan needs to fit the stove, the plate,
Yes.
to get that evenness. And you can see, if you look at that, if you got the camera up there, you can see how that's bubbling nicely, evenly.
yeah,
Even bubbles.
Even all the way around, yeah. So instead of having a gas flame where you have a concentrated section of heat, the magnetic mechanism of the induction heats the whole pan evenly. So it's pretty cool.
I'm going to just show that people wonder about induction.
This is
This is
hot,
hot.
yeah.
Okay. The having an induction ready pan, people think, thank you, you have to buy a special pan. And basically, if you have a magnet and it sticks to the bottom, your pan is induction ready. It doesn't have to be something special. Not all pans are magnetic, but you can
Well,
just take.
almost all the pans made now
Yeah.
are magnetic.
Oh, that's terrific.
Every time I go to the store, I go to the cooking section, I lift it up and yes, it's induction.
That's awesome.
friendly.
I'm going to start carrying a magnet with me too. And check.
So I think that's it. Sometimes I'll thin it out a little more.
They write it. Now they have a little circle, you find different things.
Oh, really?
And they write it, yes.
So I'm going to just
It's
turn.
on medium.
I'm just going to put this is a vegan butter. I'll put a little bit of that there. You don't need it. This is a nonstick pan. And a third of a cup is usually enough. We'll see. It might be a little thick, but spread it around. That is not enough.
Jude, I'm just noticing something about this induction stovetop. So normally the glass doesn't get hot, it's the pan that gets hot. But because the pan gets very hot, eventually the surface under the pan will be hot because the light just came on that says hot surface.
Oh.
So that's good to
Yeah,
know.
your surface is still not hot yet.
Yeah. One of the things I've seen people do when they're cooking messy things is they'll take a napkin or a paper towel and put it right there because the surface is not that hot. It will eventually get hot, but it's really not. It's a great way to keep it clean.
And if you have
Absolutely.
small children and they reach up, the edge of the stove is not going to be hot. I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to touch the heating element once the pan has been really hot. But
One thing I was going to say is that induction's electric, and again, we're trying to get people to think about moving away from gas. And everyone will say, well, where's the electricity from? And so most of our electricity is formed with gas, But in Acton, you can get 100% renewably sourced electricity. And that's a huge, huge win for the environment because
That's a solar system. Right?
They basically source it out of New England. It's either wind or solar. And once you, I'm not trying to flip this.
There you go.
That's a messy one. Once you opt up for 100% renewable, it's a town-sanctioned, sponsored program. So once a town gets these programs, a lot of times you'll get mailing, U.S. postal mail that are trying to sell you other electrical opt-up programs. And we're trying to get people to do the Acton opt-up because it's the one that the town has vetted. I'm going to use the bigger. And it's guaranteed renewable, New England sourced, etc. So there we go.
Jude, while you do number 2, I'm going to put just a tablespoon of maple syrup into the.
Sure. I mean, the only other thing I was going to add is that putting an induction stove might be expensive, and people might not necessarily be eager to do that, especially if they haven't tried it. So Mothers Out Front Acton is creating a lending program of a single induction top, and it will be through the library and also through
Kitchen Outfitters. Store.
In Acton.
In Acton. So people can borrow these single induction tops and get a sense how they work at home with their own. And actually, it will come with an induction ready pan, and it'll have the user manual, the whole thing.
Oh, so, how long is it lent for?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh, it's like a library.
Yes.
Yeah. The library also has a lending library of other things. So they have microscopes and telescopes and all kinds of fun things. So.
Okay. All right. So I'll just give it a stir.
Thank you.
And we put that out of the way. And I guess our attention is on the stove right now, correct? Okay, while Judith is making her crepe, I'm going to be just taking a regular chocolate and I got the stove on low. I'll just break it up like normal. Can I ask you to put this in the trash there for me? Thank you. And yes, you just put it on the stove and it melts. While that's getting done and that's getting done, and before you know it, we all have tea.
And how low is the temp?
I put it on 3.5, but
So
you can put it lower, you can put it higher, just as long as you take care of it and look at it, and it won't burn. It's not like the regular.
I'm really good at burning chocolate, so this is good to see.
Okay, you want to start stirring? Count your numbers and start stirring?
I'll do the rhyme while you stir. No, I'll let you talk.
Yeah, this pan is probably too big for this quantity of chocolate, but it'll work.
I think chocolate's a great demo for the induction because
you can see it's not burning, it's just working its way through being melted.
Yeah.
I remember trying to melt chocolate in the microwave and it caught on fire.
Microwave, I guess
I
sugar was
when I
too
was
high.
teaching.
Oh, wow.
Which was dramatic.
In microwave, you always put maximum 80% power.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't try it again after that, actually.
Okay.
And actually, Karen, talking about teaching, using induction tops with school children is just
Absolutely.
the only thing people should be using. Never to be using these coils, which are just a nightmare.
Okay.
Very scary.
And even the natural gas cooktops, they say that you always, always, always should put on the ventilation fan because there are gases that are released from the flames, and including nitrogen dioxide, I think.
Yes.
Which can be really harmful to children and end up giving them asthma problems. And so, yeah, definitely in a classroom setting.
Especially with us in the winter, we have everything shut, right?
Yeah.
In the cold.
Mm.
Apparently, they say that when you run a gas stove, you should put your vent on before you even turn your stove on.
Yes.
Every time.
Yes.
Top or bottom.
Can you see this? Get no vent here? It's
Yeah.
because of induction stove, they didn't have to.
You don't have to, yeah.
Okay, so this chocolate is ready.
Wow. That was fast.
So one other thing I did want to mention is Energize Acton, which is a website that the town is sponsoring along with Acton Climate Coalition, which will give people information about how to reduce their carbon footprint. But what's really exciting about the website is that as you participate in it, you get information and then you say, oh, I want to do that. I want to compost, or I want to buy an induction top. And these actions you click on and say, I've done that. And then it adds up your climate carbon savings, and the savings are aggregated with other people.
Oh,
so
nice.
all the people who are participating, you start to see the whole town of Acton potentially, and all their savings adding up.
Very nice.
So that's not officially launched, but it will be shortly, and it'll be a great way for people to learn more
About
climate-saving activities. Yeah,
yeah.
tons and tons of things, from electric vehicles to solar panels to air source heat pumps. It goes on and on.
So how much? I have not made crepes before. Is that enough? Pear?
Yep,
or
that's
more?
You need to go straight.
That's
though.
good.
You're
I think
making it
I'm
like a burrito.
I think I'm going to turn this off. Or should I keep cooking?
Keep cooking.
Just a little bit more. Okay.
And you can turn
So
it
the way to do it is maybe put it more to the end, so you'll be able to roll better. It's all right.
All right. Let's see.
First one, and then
First one's the worst one.
there you go.
It's going to be more like a Swiss roll.
There you go.
There we go.
Seam side down. Seam
Oh,
side
see.
down.
Oh, correct. All right.
And
And
then
then you want to decorate with that one. That one.
Stick it in there.
You can stick it in there.
There we go. It looks yummy.
and there's also a little cinnamon and sugar, and then this is powdered sugar, and I also bought maple. We don't need that. You have maple in it.
I would put
Well-
it somewhere there.
I mean, it's great. I mean, here we
Oh my
are
gosh.
with a different type of cooking source, but making really, really delicious looking food.
Make do with what we have, right?
Well, I mean, I think this is just,
Should we make another one?
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Should I?
I will maybe transfer this here, and you could use this plate.
move this out of the way.
There we go.
Awesome. Thank you. Give it a go here.
Do you think we're going to need that in the end? I don't know.
Oh, they're beautiful.
There we go.
Come over here. Just. And that's it. I'll put it on the plate.
So Karen and Judith, you did a wonderful job here with the help of our induction stove.
Yes.
So would you like to make Karen a nice little pancake crepe?
That sounds
Pancake
lovely.
crepe.
I would love that.
Okay. I just washed my hands. So we'll start with the crepe, and we'll put your pear sauce on, and you have some choices about what you might want to include with it, like some more maple syrup,
Or more
You know what
cinnamon?
I would
more
love?
cinnamon.
It's just a dab of chocolate in the middle
Totally.
and maybe a sprinkle of.
Okay, you have a little dab there. Maybe you can just use this.
Wait, not before you roll it up.
Yep.
yet.
You want? She wants
Yeah,
a little.
can I
You can
just-
take that.
Yeah.
Take it from
You
there.
know what you want. There you
Just curious about how it will taste. Just put a dab of chocolate in there, kind of like
See, we
chocolate
melted that
croissant.
on the induction stove
Yeah.
too, without a double boiler or anything. And this is just to show you it never burned. And I added a little bit of milk so it gets a bit runny.
Oh, really?
The other
Okay.
ones get, I mean, you can see that's already hardened.
Uh-huh.
So it's not going to stay runny.
okay.
And do you want some cinnamon or?
I would love a little
Powdered sugar.
cinnamon sprinkled on top afterwards.
All right.
And some powdered sugar, right?
Just cinnamon, I think, perhaps.
There you
Okay, there we go.
go. There you go.
Thank you so much. Wow. Should we share it?
Yeah, I think we can have those too as well. We can-
Okay.
Right, so this is now our crepes all done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Vegan variety, healthy if somebody wants to use oat flour instead of regular flour, it'll work. Bob's Mills gluten-free flour. And the highlight of today's show is to show out the induction stove.
Absolutely.
And do you want to add anything more to our induction stove cooking?
I think the main thing is that it really does work better than the gas, and that we kind of been in this misinformed state about how well the gas works, when in fact this is safer, it's more efficient, it's more controlled. So I just hope people give it a try and maybe go to the library and borrow the induction top.
And somebody's a little bit unstable, like, babies just starting to walk. Of course, we don't want children that are walking, but just to give a point, and adults, as you grow older, you tend to get a little bit unstable. It's a little bit in your brain, you're thinking how safe it is.
It is, yes, and I will agree with that. I mean, I notice myself, I leave my stovetop more often, and I'm not as worried with this. It's much safer. It will go off, actually, my top.
Yes.
If it gets too hot.
Yes, and it also, if you don't have things on top sometimes, depending on the brand, it does go off. This particular one is an Electrolux, so it's no advertisement for Electrolux, but just to let you know that that's what they have here in the studio, and it was donated very kindly to the studio at one time. But I've been using it for the last 5, maybe 6 years now, regularly at the studio, and except if water falls on it, it may goes off, but that's a safety feature.
Right, right.
We shouldn't be working with water anyway, right? I mean, if you just place the thing on the top, so the water goes inside the container, not outside it. So that's what it is.
And really, we shouldn't be living with flames inside our house.
Yes.
Basically, that's sort of the bottom line, is we don't need to have flames anymore. We are well beyond that.
Yes, and any last words from you, Karen?
Well, I think that, you can create really lovely meals with an induction stovetop, and it's healthier for the children in your household, and it's safer for any elders who, might accidentally put a towel down on a flame, and it's the future of cooking.
Definitely.
And it's definitely very much more pros, because in any stove you can make an absolutely delicious meal, but it's the principle behind it, what we're trying today, right? We were trying to be as sustainable as possible.
Yes.
To worry about the environment.
Healthy parents and healthy children and a healthy planet.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're more
It's
than
really,
welcome.
Really great.
And thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
It's been
Judith.
great.
Thank you,
I know
Marsha.
you are the brainchild for Acton, the Acton chapter.
It's a team.
It's a team.
It's a great team. Yeah, we've really done a lot of fun things.
And I'm glad you found out and somebody started it, and it's good to bring awareness to our community.
Excellent.
And these are always available on ActonTV.org or Flavourful Eats. Any comments you need to us, any queries, write to flavorfuleats@gmail.com. And I am your host, Hamsha Naidu. Till we meet again, take care. Bye-bye.